Hey everybody, I'm back at the Dollar Tree. I'm actually at a different Dollar Tree that's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to try to do one of the challenges that I did the first time I showed you guys a trip to the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to try to do a meal or two that's under $5. So this video did pretty well the last time I did it, so there must be some interest. If you guys want to let me know in the comments below what store you'd like me to do it at next time, I'd be happy to go along and try to see what I can find at the next store. Otherwise, I'm wondering if the appeal to this type of video is doing it at a store that's not typically a grocery store. So if I were to do it at like a Big Lots or something like that, or if it's just the appeal to make a meal under $5. So whether I go to Kroger or Walmart or whatever other store, let me know in the comments below what you think. But I'm gonna go ahead and head in Dollar Tree and see what type of products that I can find to get a meal under $5. Alright, so as you can see here, the Dollar Tree had many pre-packaged, ready-to-go type of meals and a few other things as well. Then I finally got to a section that had a little bit of vegetables and fruit, which is what I would be picking mostly from. Pretty typical from every other dollar store. Now I went into the store not really knowing what I would be able to find and what kind of items that I could use to put together a meal or two. So here, as you can see, they have about one or two aisles that have non-perishable items in them. So I'm trying to scavenge through and see what I can use for some ingredients in my meals. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do something a little different. Maybe bulk up a jambalaya. Definitely need to get some protein in, so we'll definitely need to have some type of bean or lentil option. See how creative we can get. Okay, so this is all of everything that I ended up with from the dollar store. I was a little disappointed I didn't see much that was different from the other dollar store that I went to, or the Dollar Tree. I did see this was a little bit newer. I didn't see this at the last place, and they did have quite a bit of Thanksgiving stuff in. So I assume that that eliminated some of the other things that maybe were already there. But the plan is I'm going to work around this jambalaya for one meal. So I'm going to obviously use this, bulk it up with some more rice, beans, and peppers and onions. So that's pretty much all that's already in it. And then whatever seasonings are already on here. So there's different paprika spices. I'm gonna add some of my own spices in there too, so I can bulk it back up. And then for the other meal, I'm going to do a lentil dal. So I have a pound of lentils here. I'm gonna use the rest of the rice to soak it up with. We got some sliced carrots, some coconut milk, and then I can use garlic for both of the meals. So everything else that I'll use in the dinners, it will be spices that I'll already have in my pantry. I didn't factor those in, so let's see what it turns out like. Now the real question was with this jambalaya, should I just do the stovetop directions, or I could just cheat and see how it'll turn out if I put it in a rice cooker. So as you can see, I took the easier way, or the more efficient way of doing things here, and chose to use my rice cooker. This bag of rice has 2.5 cups in there, so I'm only using 1 cup for this recipe, and I'll use the other 1.5 cups for the next one. But I just put a little bit of vegetable bouillon in there, and it's gonna cook right up. I'm going to cut up the onions and peppers, about half of the bag in the meantime, and throw that in as well. So as you can see with this first meal idea, I'm really just bulking up the original ingredients that are already in there. So I'm just adding the peppers and onions, more back into it, adding some minced garlic here as well. And then I'm also going to drain these red beans and rinse them out and add those back in too. Here you can see I'm just adding in a little bit more flavor because of that extra cup of rice and the beans that are about to go in, as well as the vegetables. So I'm putting in a little bit of paprika in. Old Bay seasoning is usually used for jambalaya type dishes, so I had some of that on hand and threw some of that in as well. Just make sure that you're tasting it as you go. You might need to add a little bit of salt for your liking. This is a pretty simple meal, but it just shows you what you can do with a couple dollars and bulk up and have a really nutritious and protein-packed dinner. If you are interested in the nutritional content of these types of meals, just let me know in the comments below and I will be sure to include them in future videos. Now you can definitely follow the cooking instructions on the back of the box and make this over the stovetop, but my rice cooker does save quite a bit of time. I definitely highly suggest you getting one if you are considering it, for usually can be found for about $10 and they save a ton of time. And here is the final product. We had enough for probably at least 4 to 6 servings. There was plenty of leftovers. Okay, for the second meal, I'm gonna go ahead and make some lentil dal with the rest of the ingredients that we have. There will be a couple small ingredients that I will be omitting because I don't have them, but you can add them in if you have them. So let's get cooking. Now, I will be the first to admit that sometimes I do not remember to rinse my beans in my rice. So definitely make sure that you're rinsing your lentils. You never know what kind of pesticides and everything are on them. That's what I'm doing with these here. And then I'm also actually going to soak my lentils while I'm getting everything else prepared, because sometimes the lentils will soften a little bit more there and be more easily digestible. So I'm going off a recipe that I use pretty often, to be honest, so I will definitely leave that down below. The recipe does not call for peppers, but I was not going to take the time to pick them all out, so they're just going to end up in the dish. As you can see, I put a little bit of coconut oil in to start. I actually missed filming, but you see now that it's a little bit darker. I put a little bit of soy sauce, and I also actually put in some ground ginger as well as some red pepper flakes. It does call for fresh ginger, but I'm just using the seasonings I have on hand. The recipe does also call for cumin, turmeric, and coriander, which I am adding here. I'm just going to let all these flavors mold together. As you can see, I use this bouillon for just about every dish that I make. This recipe called for vegetable broth, but regardless, I would have added it anyways. It's a great flavor enhancer. 1 for 2, batting 500 on remembering to clean my rice before we eat it, but at least this meal is going to be extra nutritious and without any pesticides. And in goes the coconut milk as well as the carrots. This recipe does call for fresh carrots. Obviously I got canned carrots, so it says to add into the recipe at the very beginning, but since they were already cooked, I just added them into the end of the recipe. Now I'm just adding in the last few flavors into the recipe, and then I'm going to check on my trusty rice cooker and see how that rice is doing. I'm fully aware that this isn't the most appealing color of a meal to have, but I promise you it is quite delicious. This recipe also made about 4 servings, and both recipes were pretty much plant-based as well, so we got some good nutritious meals for $1 or less per serving. Doesn't this just look delish?
Do you like your dinner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
It's dal. Dal.
Good job.
Yep.
Would you feel different about it if I told you I made it with ingredients that all came from the Dollar Tree?
I'd feel better about it because that's a savvy move by a savvy woman.
Thanks.
Yep. Hot. Hot.
Thanks so much for watching. Let me know which one is your favorite in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!